So I'm pretty horrible at all things 3D design. But I do love staying on top of some of the coolest and latest tech that's out there, along with just utilizing the tools that I have on hand, which just so happens to be an iPad. And as you can see, we're in the new studio space here. Unfortunately, I'm still getting everything set up. It's really just a temporary setup location here. Audio is also not great. There's a lot of echo in here. And speaking of audio, I just ran into a massive issue while getting things set up where I accidentally knocked over my microphone stand and broke one of the latches that holds everything together. And I tried using some super glue to get everything to hold back together, and unfortunately, it just did not work very well with these parts. So today I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna use my iPad to 3D model a replacement part using an app called Shapr3D, and then we're gonna run off and 3D print it and see if we can solve this issue that I have. So the very first thing that I'm gonna do is take the broken parts and use a pair of digital calipers to get some very basic measurements of the overall parts, just so I have some frame of reference when it comes to actually 3D modeling these things out. I should also mention that my 3D design skills are absolutely horrible, and I mean horrible. So the first thing that we're gonna do is open up Shapr3D, which again, you can use with your iPad or Mac or PC. This is a subscription app. It is relatively expensive. They do have a free option that limits you to 2 designs, and I think it limits to basic output options as well. But if you want to try it out, you can try it out month to month or a full annual subscription. Here, I'm going to start a new design, and again, apologies in advance. I am by no means an expert or even a novice at this. I barely know what I'm doing, scratching the surface with this. And here you've got a 3D environment that you can work with. There's some tools along the left-hand side of the page. I would highly recommend taking advantage of a bunch of the free tutorials that are on YouTube and even built in to the app to get started with just learning how to work with it. But it is very straightforward and easy to work with, and I only know the very bare basic functions of how this app works. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into a top-down view of the app. So to start out, I know we're gonna need a circle, so I'm gonna draw that very easily here, and I'm gonna set the radius to 34 millimeters based on the information that I took down in my measurements. And I know we're gonna need 2 smaller circles on the inside here. So for the first one, I'm gonna set that to 11.5. And then our smaller circle, I'm gonna set to 4.2. Now, again, I'm just gonna recenter all of these so that they are right dab in the center of our other circles there. So everything should be well aligned. So very basic stuff right here, just drawing some circles. And what we're gonna do next is if I go out and just use my finger to rotate out, I can click into any one of these shaded areas here. So if I click into this circle, it's gonna allow me to extrude up. And I know I need this to be at least 4.2 millimeters in height there. And then our center circle is actually gonna be taller. So I'm gonna click on that one and drag it up. That one needs to be 17.5. Well on our way here with our very easy shape. You can also click on any of the sides here if you wanted to bevel those, or if you want, chamfer or fillet. So if you wanted a straight edge or curved or rounded, at any point in time, you can type in the value that you'd want there. So I'm gonna set this to 1.2 and just give it a little rounded edge there along the side. Now we need to actually create the more complex shape, which is, I'm gonna click on the front sides here. So again, we're gonna go in and do some more sketching. I know it's sort of like straight lines and a curved line. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna draw on the bottom here. I'm gonna draw under this. I'm gonna draw, I believe this needs to be, it is 24. And then I'm gonna go up I'm gonna set that to 10, and we're gonna just make a rounded top there. So again, very, very basic here. But what I'm gonna end up doing with this is I'm gonna double tap on that drawing so it selects everything. There we go. I'm in the move menu when I backed out, and I can move this out of the way because what I wanna do is I actually want to click on this, and instead of cutting away at this, I want to actually generate this funnel shape, because that's what we're gonna have the actual piece that holds the microphone mount in place. We need that tube there. So I'm gonna double click on all of these. I'm gonna move it back into position here. Now, what I need to do is drill through a little channel into that. So what I'm gonna do is select the 3 sides here, not the bottom. So not this bottom piece, but the 3 sides. And then I'm gonna say an offset. Oops, here it doesn't matter. It's selected all of them automatically for me. So I know that offset needs to be 4.2. And what I can do here, because I need this to go all the way through, I can actually just bring it down here. So now what I can do is, again, go out of this 3D view, click on the shaded area that I want to extrude, and it's gonna extrude through. Let me re-angle this here so you can get a better view of it, and pass it right through. So now I've created this tunnel directly through everything. So we're actually looking really good for the new shape that we needed for this. So one thing that I do need to do here is I need to remove some of the excess from the sides here. It needs to be a full circle there for this entire shape. So in order for me to do that, what I can do is I can click back on this drawing on the bottom of the circle. And what we can do is if I come out of this view and I'm gonna move this down a little bit. So I want it to be offset from everything. And then I'm going to come back in, let's select that, and I'm gonna say offset edge and make that much larger. I wanna make sure it covers the entire set of our other drawings, so I'm gonna make that even larger. And then from here, I can click on this, oops. There we go, I can click on this and drag it up and it's gonna carve away. And now we more or less have our exact shape that we need. Now all I need to do is trim off the bottom pieces here, and that should be easy enough by just going into a side view and drawing a box. So now all I have to do is move the rectangle away and then extrude it back into the objects, and it will delete those underlying layers. And now our part is ready for exporting. And to export, all you have to do is come up to the top button on the top left right-hand side to export, and then you can choose how you would like to actually export this as. I'm gonna say a 3D print, and then I can save it as an STL, and then I can choose how I want to name it as well as actually sharing it. So here I could actually save it to my files on my iPad, or I could send it via mail, or I could share it over AirDrop, which is what I'm gonna do. Now, if only there was a way I could slice a file directly from my iPad. And while our file's printing, I wanted to take a moment to say thank you to today's video sponsor, which is none other than Elegoo, the makers of the Elegoo Neptune 2. This is easily my favorite FDM 3D printer to work with. It is so easy to assemble, it prints amazing, and it is very affordable, especially if you're looking to get started with 3D printing. Elegoo also makes some amazing resin 3D printers like the Elegoo Mars 2 Pro, the Elegoo Mars 3, the Saturn S, and the upcoming Elegoo Jupiter. If you're interested in finding out more information about any of the Elegoo products that I've shown off in today's video, you can find links to those down below. Thanks again to Elegoo for sponsoring today's video. I'm gonna turn the printer off. This was a almost 50-minute print exactly, and let's get it off the build plate. Ooh, that popped right off. Printed it in some purple Ziltech PLA. I might reprint it in PETG, assuming that this holds up a bit better. But let's actually see if it fits. Ooh, it's a perfect fit. Oh my gosh, it's a perfect fit. It fit right inside there. Let's see if I'm actually able to clamp it on. Let me see. I might have made it too long though. Oh man, I think it's just slightly too long. We'll see. It's just a little too loose. I need to shorten it ever so slightly. All right, my second attempt at this. The print has now finished. Got it off the build plate. Let's see how this one fits. Ta-da! And I'm happy to say this one works properly. I can slide the bar in there and then tighten it into place. It's not 100% perfect, and I might revise that drawing just ever so slightly there and reprint it just so it has a little bit more clearance to make the connection there on both sides. But overall, it clamps it in place and is holding it there properly so that I can get my microphone mounted back in place. I'm very excited with the results that I was able to get using Shapr3D and my Elegoo Neptune 2 to actually fix a practical issue that I had here around the studio by fixing the microphone stand there. Only took a few iterations, but I was able to actually get that up and going and a fix in place that probably saved me a good amount of money versus having to buy a whole new mic stand. Also, that new faster profile that I did in the previous video for the Elegoo Neptune 2 with Shapr3D's profile settings there worked really well for making this a very quick and easy print. And speaking of, if you're interested in any of my Resin 3 printer settings or my settings that I use for the Elegoo Neptune 2, you can find those over in my Patreon. And a big thank you to all of my Patreon supporters for your continued support. So if I could actually make something with that app and solve an issue for myself, I would highly recommend checking it out for yourself. There are a ton of amazing makers out there making ridiculously cool things with that app and other mobile 3D modeling apps out there. What I'm really interested in is how can I actually make a helmet in Shapr3D. But I should probably do some actual tutorials first. Hey, but thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye now.